Hey friend, it's Avi from JustWriteMusic.com. First of all, Happy New Year! This video is coming out on the very last day of 2020, December 31st, and man was it a hell of a year for a ton of people. Like a literal hell. The pandemic upended many lives, countless lives, and I'm sure many of us are eager to put it behind us as we continue to weather this storm. But back to that first thing. It's the new year! It's 2021. We did it. We made it through this year. It's huge. That means it's also New Year's resolution time. And if you're like me, you always make a resolution and usually don't wind up keeping it. When it comes to writing music, I feel like I could always be writing more. And I want to write more. To be honest, that's been one of my failed resolutions multiple times. Well, guess what? I did it. And this year, I want to help you do it too. Now, if you're new to the channel and you are interested in more videos, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It is super helpful for me and for the channel. So thank you already for that. I owe you guys one. So there's a couple of ways to tackle this. We're essentially trying to create a new routine, a new habit in our everyday life, which is hard. We're creatures of habit, which ironically make habits hard to change. In this video, we're going to cover a couple of ways to employ this new habit and get it into your life, whether or not you're an amateur or a hobbyist or a professional/aspiring professional. Then we'll go over a few tips to keep you on track and make sure that you can do this sustainably and consistently over the course of the year. Finally, we're going to ask ourselves some really tough questions and figure out whether this resolution that we're setting for ourselves is even healthy. Maybe we shouldn't even do it. I don't know. We're gonna find out though. We're gonna find out. Come on a journey with me. Come along. So this brings me to the first question that we should ask ourselves, that I need you to ask yourself, that I had to ask myself. Are you a hobbyist or are you a professional or an aspiring professional? This is an important distinction because it allows you to sort of set it up in your priorities accordingly. If you're a hobbyist, you want to view writing music as a habit rather than something you got to do for work. Now this may seem obvious, but unless you have a really traditional day job, then the scheduling and the priority can sometimes feel a little bit more complex than it should on paper. If you're writing music as a hobby, this means you're probably doing it on the off hours or on the weekends. This generally gives us less overall time to work with because we're working around time that you're normally prioritizing for your day job, which, of course you are. Now, smaller amounts of time may lead to inhibited growth at first, but if you're consistent and you keep up with it, you're going to be just fine, promise. Consistency is more important here. Fortunately, with remote work being a thing and unlikely to go away, even with a traditional day job, if you're working from home or working remotely and have access to instruments and stuff, you can kind of fit it in a lot more seamlessly into even your workday if you want to, if you have that kind of time. Now, if you are or want to be a music professional in some capacity, and you've already quit your day job, or whatever day job means these days, that means you're working completely on your own with private clients. This also means you're completely in charge of all of your back-end business structures. You're your own business now, which means it's also important to act like one. You're your own boss. You make the rules. No one's really going to tell you when or where to show up or whether or not you have to go to work that day. And this can be a great thing, this can be a blessing, or it could be a curse. But this also means that writing music is now part of your job. It's work, so we should treat it like work. This can actually mean not writing less music, but carving out time where you promise you're not going to write music, like during the nights or on the weekends, unless you're doing a specific passion project that's not connected to any type of income generation. In fact, make sure that when you're writing your schedule, put writing music or composition or whatever into your schedule. It's a part of your work life now, so treat it like that. Put that in there. Make sure it gets done. Throw it in your calendar and make it a recurring event so it's just always there, especially if you can do it at the same time. Remember, now that it's for work, it is functioning separately than a normal hobby and a normal habit, but the same general rules still do apply. All that being said, let's get into a few tips to help you start and keep writing music as a habit. The first tip is to pin writing music to another activity that you already do. This is one of those habit hacks that it works really well, but you have to stick to it. The best activities to pin a new habit to usually are meals, We all eat every single day, so if you start your new writing sessions right before or after a meal that you're already eating, then that's a great way to just keep doing it because you're gonna keep eating that meal most likely. Now, the next habit tip I want to share with you is to start small, like really small. Aim for really low duration but frequent writing sessions. This builds the I'm going to go rap music pathway in your brain. I don't know what that was. Building that pathway and practicing that pathway more often makes writing music feel like something that you always do, or it's not really a big deal that you're doing. It's now just kind of mundane, and that's what we're going for. We want it to be mundane. We want to just always do it. This low duration, this practicing of going to practice is a really great way of helping to get ahead of anticipatory anxiety about writing. This was a big problem for me personally, and I can really attest to this method of short, frequent writing sessions to help you get over that. Now, the final tip is to set appropriate expectations. I say this a lot because I think it's also something worth repeating a lot. It's crazy easy to expect a result that we haven't really earned yet. This is partially due to conditioning and society, but also due to our brain just wanting to be done with stuff and effectively and efficiently complete our task. But if we set our expectations appropriately, set our standards appropriately to where we are on our journey, we can allow ourselves to grow and allow ourselves to enjoy the activity with a minimal amount of ego friction. And right about here is where I'd like to pivot to a really important question that we absolutely need to ask ourselves while we're planning out this next year and this endeavor. Why do you want to write more music? This is an important question to ask because when we start asking this and we start following this line of questioning, we're able to uncover whether this desire is coming from a healthy place or not. The two main places that this could be coming from is a place of excitement or a place of anxiety, both of which are high energy states. If it's anxiety, take a look at how much you're actually writing, as well as other factors like your personal life and your other obligations. Is this a hobby or a professional endeavor? And be honest with yourself. Maybe you're already writing as much as you reasonably can, and that's great. But avoid beating yourself up for having other obligations. Or maybe it's time to take a really hard look at them and determine whether or not it's time for a change. Anxious thoughts about writing music can sound something like, I don't write enough music. How am I ever going to be a quality songwriter or a quality artist and come out with good material if I'm not writing enough? Or so-and-so's music is just so amazing, I'm never going to be able to live up to that. The voice that says this isn't actually you. It's not even really a part of you. It's just a voice in your head. It's one that doesn't want to see you grow and doesn't want to see you take risks. It just wants to control you and keep you in the same place forever, keep you in what's familiar and keep you inside your comfort zone. So your anxious voice, ignore it. If you can't and it's paralyzing to you like it was for me, go get help. This can take the form of a therapist, a teacher, or a colleague that you set up an accountability system with. It helps. You won't regret it. If the desire to write more music is primarily coming from a place of excitement, then you're kind of all good. Good job. Just be realistic and patient, and you'll reach your goals. To be clear, this isn't an either-or situation. You're going to be excited and anxious. But, which one is the dominant emotion or the prime mover of this desire is a really important distinction, a really important information to have. Generally, those with anxiety as the prime driver are usually not going to be writing much music to begin with. Speaking from experience here. This is due to something called avoidance, which is a textbook manifestation of anxiety. And it's just as it sounds. You're literally going to find yourself avoiding the behavior that causes you the anxiety. The really messed up part here, you're going to feel bad about yourself and beat yourself up over avoiding an activity that you know you want to do. And then you're going to beat yourself up over having the anxiety in the first place that makes you avoid the thing that you want to do and feel bad about not doing it. It just creates this never-ending cycle, which can be, like it was for me at one point in my life, completely paralyzing. And that's okay. If you were like me or are like me right now, you're not alone. This is why I say this stuff, because I know I'm not alone. Because I know that someone else may need to hear me say it. If you've experienced some of these thoughts, or if you've experienced anxiety in some form, leave a comment below with a heart emoji. You don't need to say anything about yourself or about your experience. A quick heart emoji is all that we need to show some solidarity to ourselves and to everyone else who's struggling the same way we are. There's one last thing I want to talk about before we sign off. And no matter what you're doing, no matter what your reason, I want to make sure that you are able to give yourself a break. Doesn't matter where you are in your journey, whether or not you're a hobbyist or a professional, it's important to take breaks. It's important to give ourselves space. And it's also really important to be kind to ourselves on the days that maybe we don't make it to the writing session. It's totally fine. It's better to miss a couple of days and come back than to miss one day and give up. It's returning to the practice of the writing, of anything. Doesn't matter what skill or what habit you're trying to make. It's the practice of returning that is the agency for growth, not the desire or will to do it. Sometimes this means to take ourselves less seriously, to take the results of our craft less seriously, or to lower our expectations and to set them appropriately for where we are on our journey. Maybe we even need to write less because maybe we're using writing music as an escape for something else that we're avoiding in other areas of our lives. You see how insidious this can get? Even just wanting to write some more music can sometimes be something that we're using in order to not deal with something else. I've done that too. All of my teenage years was just me playing guitar in order to avoid dealing with all the messed up stuff that happened in my teenage years. Just because you feel like you should be writing more doesn't always mean that you should. And this is actually a really great thing, because if that's the case, you can divert your attention and your energy to another area of your life that maybe needs that more. Maybe you're already writing enough. That's fine. I think I'm writing enough just fine. I started writing, I'm writing consistently now, and I'm happy about that. By giving ourselves realistic expectations, we help to rein in that anticipatory anxiety. We help to rein in our anxious mind. Otherwise, we're going to burn out, drive ourselves crazy, or likely both. So I know you probably didn't expect to talk a lot about anxiety in a New Year's resolution video, but I think it's really important to take a look at the underlying motivations for wanting to change our behavior. That way we have a deeper understanding of ourselves and of what we want out of our lives. This gives us greater confidence to fulfill them, and more energy and excitement in fulfilling them, in the action of doing them, in the practice of it. Better yet, it'll give us the wisdom and the inner insight to perhaps tone them down, that maybe this desire is actually unhealthy and we're already filling the quota that we need. One thing you can be sure of that's usually a fairly healthy desire is the desire to learn. That's why I want to tell you about my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. This is perfect if you're looking for some easy and versatile tools to bring your melody up to your standards. Forget about agonizing over what your melody is missing. These tips help you add instant intrigue and are repeatable until you find what your melody is missing. Head to justwritemusic.com. There is a link down in the description. That's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for being here and for being part of Just Write Music. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. There's some big stuff coming up down the pipeline that I've been working on and stewing on for a while, and I'm really excited about it. If you're watching this on New Year's Eve, on the day it's coming out, have a very safe night, have a very safe New Year's, and if you're in 2021, drop me a comment below and tell me how things are going. I need to know. I'm very anxious about it. I'm Avi from justwritemusic.com. I'll see you in 2021. Peace out.